Hello, it's me. Do you have some leftover turkey from Thanksgiving? Well, I do. Not that much, actually, because we had a leftover day the next day, so that consumed a lot of my leftovers. And I sent a lot of the leftovers home with people. So here we are. I have this. What I have here is my turkey carcass that fell apart, and I have my a leg, and I've got a couple of wings there, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is make some broth out of this, and I'm going to use pick out whatever leftover turkey meat I can, and I'm going to make some broth for some good vegetable soup. So stick with me and I will show you how to do it. Alrighty. Okay. Thanks for hanging in there. Now this is what I've done. I've taken the leftover turkey parts, and remember I said I had the carcass that had fallen apart. I had that in a bag, and I had a couple of a couple of turkey wings, and a leg. So what I've done is I've just simply put them in the kettle, and I've covered them with cold water. I've turned my heat on high, my burner's on high, and I'm going to bring these to a boil, and then I'm going to cut the heat back and let it simmer until the meat is falling away from the bone. And at which point we will take out the bones and separate the meat and strain our broth. We're going to do a few steps in here, but it's really pretty stress-free. And that's what we're going to do to get some really good broth. Now, I haven't seasoned this because my turkey was pretty well seasoned. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and then I can taste it later when after everything gets strained out and I have the broth nice and strained in the way I want it. Okay? My intention is to make some soup out of this. Now, I haven't decided. I may or may not can the soup. We'll have to see. I think it depends on how much I have and if I think it's worth my while to do it. So, this is going to be very easy soup. So, we will come back when and take a look at this when we're where we want to be as far as the broth is concerned, and being able to remove all the good turkey that's on the bones. Okay? All right. We're going to come back and take a look, and we'll proceed from there. Okay? All right. Hey, thanks for sticking with me on this. It's fun, and you know what? You can do this not just with turkey. You can do it with chicken and other leftovers as well. Okay? All right. Hang in, and we're going to come back and get this done. Okay, thank you. Here you go, just a little update here on our turkey broth. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Looks better than it did. You can see it's been on here for, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes. You can see that the meat, some of the meat is starting to release, and that fatty skin is coming off. And it's got a ways to go yet, but it's starting to smell really good. And so I just wanted you to see where we're at. Okay? See, it's starting to release a little bit. And I'm actually going to leave this on here, I think, probably for at least 90 minutes. And it's just on a nice low simmer here. And I might turn the heat down a little bit more. But I just wanted to check in with you and show you where we're at. And I think it's coming along great, just like it's supposed to. Okay, we'll be back. Hello. Back. Okay. Here's the turkey, the leftover turkey, and the broth that I was able to glean from that. Now you can see that it's falling apart. This is the leg and the meat's falling off of it. So I cooked this probably about 90 minutes all total, maybe a little bit longer, but about 90 minutes. Because, you know, you have to remember the turkey is already cooked. So it's not like you're starting with raw ingredients. So, and you can see that broth looks pretty good. So, but I'm going to be adding other things to my soup too, and that's going to enhance the flavor. So what I want to do here, I've got my kettle of broth and bones and meat scraps, and I have my colander, and I have a little bowl under that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my large slotted spoon, and I'm just going to separate the bones and the meat from the broth. That's really all I want to do. So get your bowl and colander as close as you can to the broth, to your kettle, and go for it like that. Now, this is not an unmessy process. It can be messy, but that's okay. You're going to clean up after yourself anyway. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to separate these out, and you can see this really doesn't take that long. You can see what's in there. And then I'm going to show you what I have after that. Okay? All right. Stay with me. Okay, here we go. Now, I've taken all of those large pieces out of there, out of the kettle, and you can see here pretty much what's left. But I'm also going to strain this. So, I'm going to cook this down a little bit more and add some seasoning to it. I did taste it. It needs some salt and pepper. And so I'm going to make sure that it's well seasoned. It tastes pretty good like it is, but it does need seasoning. It needs salt. That's why I waited. I did not season it when I was cooking down the bones and the meat, because they absorb a lot of that anyway. So I didn't want to go too crazy with it. I just wanted to see where I was at. So now I've got this, and I'm going to strain it. And I'm going to cook this down a little bit, and then I will strain it into this kettle because it will be reduced a little to add to the richness. And in the meantime, I'm going to cool this off and put it in a bowl and spread it out a little bit and cool it off enough so that I can handle it and separate the meat from the bones, because I want to find what's good in there. And you know, too, we don't want anything that looks unappetizing. We want this to be appetizing and delicious. Okay? So, this is just the base, going to be the base of my turkey soup. And so I'm going to proceed on with that, because you don't need to watch me do that. It's like watching paint dry. So, but I did want to show you under here. See, off of that there drains some really nice clear broth, and that's kind of what we're looking for. So it's going to be really, really good. Now I'm just going to proceed on with this. I'm going to turn the heat on under this kettle, get it boiling, and we'll strain it off so that those pieces are out of there, because we want it to look good and taste good and be very appetizing. Okay? All right, and then we'll come back and I'll show you. All righty. Hang on. Well, you can go get coffee or something. You don't really have to just sit there. Okay, thanks. All right, now I wanted to show you this. I picked through, I separated the bones, the gristle, the skin, all the cartilage from the meat, and I put them in different bowls here. Now, I wanted to show you something. Remember that I had two turkey wings and a turkey leg that I'm rendering the broth and the meat off of. You see this? This is like a toothpick type of a bone or cartilage. It's flexible, but it is very sharp. And this is what surrounds a turkey leg. There are a lot of them. So when you're picking through and separating the meat from the bones, be aware of those, because they can kind of stay hidden sometimes up inside of a nice little pad of meat and you don't realize it. So I just wanted you to see this is what was left, and this is going away, and this is the meat that I was able to get from it. Now you see some of it is lighter, some of it's darker. That's because wings are white meat, and legs, thighs are dark meat, and wings, breasts are white meat. So there's a mixture there. But this is what I would like for you to do. When you do this, no matter, especially with chicken and any kind of poultry, I want you to separate the meat from the bones, and then I want you to go through the meat again, and make sure that there's no skin, no bones, small bones of any kind, no cartilage, anything that might be a bit unpleasant if you were to run across it in your soup, okay? All right, because we do eat with our eyes, don't we? So we want things to look nice. We want our food to look good. Taste good is the most important. Looking good, I think, is important too. So, and you want to be safe, because you don't want to dig into your soup and find one of these. That could be disastrous. So just be cautious. And then what I did after I picked through it the second time, I went through and I just took my knife and I laid the meat on my cutting board and I cut it into smaller pieces. Okay? And that's what I have left. Then you can even go through it again if you want to. Okay? All right. So I boiled the broth a bit more, and I'm going to strain it, and because I want to get all these other unappetizing things out of there, and then we will proceed from there. Okay. I've strained the broth into another kettle, and I want you to see what I've done here. I lined my colander with a couple of thicknesses of paper towel, and the reason I did that is because I wanted the paper towel to absorb that excess fat that had cooked out of the turkey into the broth. I did not want that in my broth. So what I did was I lined it with a paper towel, and you can see where the fat is, and there's still even some fat remaining there. So that's good. I wanted that out of my soup. And because, you know, you get too much fat and it's very unappetizing. I don't know. I just don't want all of that in there, and you know yourself that that's not that good for you. So, and then too, the paper towel does double duty because it enables most of the debris or that excess bits to stay in and not go through into my broth. And as you can see, this broth looks very, very good. I salted it. See there? There isn't anything floating around in it. And that's what I wanted. because when I have this soup, I want to be able to see the turkey bits, the turkey that I've chopped up, and the vegetables that I'm going to put in there, because I'm going to put some beautiful vegetables in there. So that's where we're at right now. Now I can stop right here if I want to, and I could let this cool off and freeze it and just mark it as turkey broth. I can do that if I want to, or I can continue on with the soup. I think I'm going to continue on with the soup. Like my late husband always said, never say whoa in a horse race. So, God bless him. So, there you go. Now, we're going to come back and I will show you how I'm going to put this beautiful turkey soup together. You know, you could really say this is another use what you have episode of Simple Food, Simple Life, because basically that's where I'm at right now. I haven't purchased anything. I haven't gone out to the store and bought anything, because I'm just simply going through my cupboard, my freezer, my refrigerator, and I am using what I have. But the main thing is I wanted to get all the goodness I could out of that beautiful turkey. Okay, all right, we'll be back and I will show you where we're at. Okay, look what we have here. This is, I'm proceeding on with my turkey vegetable soup. So I have some vegetables here that I prepared, and like I said, I didn't run out and buy anything. This is just what I already had. I had 4 carrots left in my vegetable bin. I had a little bit of celery, and it was actually the end piece and some of the celery leaves. I had some of that, and I had some odds and ends pieces of onions. And it was just, I had chopped it down, and somehow I ended up with 3 little sandwich bags of various onion pieces. So I chopped those up and I'm using those. I have my turkey here that I've sorted through and chopped. I've got 1 bag of mixed vegetables, and I have some potatoes. Now, part of these potatoes were left over and sitting in a bath of ice water in the refrigerator. They were left over from breakfast yesterday. My granddaughters stayed overnight with me. A couple of them did. And I made them Granny's special cubed potatoes, fried very crisp and drizzled with ranch dressing. They love that. So I had some of those left, but I just added 1 potato to it. Just a good, you know, decent size, average size potato. And I peeled it and added that. So now all that's sitting in the ice water. And I've got some garlic here, a little bit of garlic. Now, and I have my broth, and like I said, I did salt the broth and tasted it for salt. So I think we're pretty good there. But I will season and pepper the vegetables. So we want layers of seasoning. And I may put a few red pepper flakes in there. I don't know for sure yet. I'm not going to put any sage or anything like that, because if I decide to can this soup, sage tends to be a little bit off-putting in canning, so I'm not going to do that. I may put some parsley in there. I don't know, maybe a little bit of cayenne, whatever. I will decide as I go along, but in the meantime, let's continue with this, and I will show you where we're at. Now, I've got my oil going, and I'm going to just get my vegetables in there. And I'm going to start sauteing those. Now, the reason I am sauteing them is because I love to sweat out the flavors from the vegetables when I make soup. I usually do this in most all of my soup in one form or another. I am going to add the garlic. I've got a little bit of garlic here left, but I'm not going to add that till towards the end of the saute. And I'm going to saute all of the vegetables. including the frozen vegetables, including my potatoes, and then at the end I will put in some garlic, and then I will toss the meat in there before I cover it all with delicious broth and then let it simmer. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this and get everything going in there, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Alright, now take a look. Doesn't this look really good? Now what I did, you saw that I put the carrots, the celery, and the onion in the hot oil, and I did add salt and pepper. I also added in the potatoes, but now I've put in about a tablespoon of paprika. I put a little bit of cayenne and to give it a little kick, and I had a little bit of coriander. Excuse me, I just breathed in that paprika. And I put that in there too, just a little bit. So that's where we're at right now. I really think it's looking good. I'm going to saute this a little bit more, and I'm going to put in the frozen vegetables because we want them to get some of that good color on them as well. And I'm going to incorporate all these and get them going. I think it's looking good. It smells really good. And I'll be back and I'll show you where we're at. Alright, now then, I just put my turkey in. I'm just going to give that a light toss. And then I'm going to add the turkey broth. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? You know, really, you wouldn't really have to make soup out of this if you didn't want to. You could just take all these ingredients, use your, thicken up some of your turkey broth, pour it over the top, and pop it in the oven, make a casserole out of it. So I just want you to kind of think about what you have. And that's the beauty of using what you have, because you can do so many, many wonderful things with it. Okay? So, here we are. We got that going. I'm going to add the chicken broth, or the turkey broth. And I definitely need 2 hands for that. And I'll show you what it looks like, because by that time it's going to be ready just to turn the heat down, let it simmer, and till we get that beautiful turkey vegetable soup. It's like double Thanksgiving, isn't it? There's a lot to be thankful for, that's for sure. Okay, I'll be back. There you go. Can you see why I put that paprika in there? To bring out some beautiful color. And the colors of the vegetables against that, the color of the broth is wonderful. You remember what the broth looked like before? It was kind of pale. But now look at it. It looks rich and beautiful, and who would not want to dive into a bowl of this soup? It looks fantastic, and the broth tastes really, really good. I put just enough cayenne pepper in there to give it a little bit of a bite. You don't have to add that if you don't want to. And furthermore, you can add other things to this. You can add more vegetables if you like. You can add, instead of potatoes, you can add pasta if you want to. I generally don't do pasta and potatoes together. That's a bit too much starch for me, but hey, if that's what you like, go right ahead. It's going to be delicious any way you do it. How about some mushrooms? Or, you know what, look in your refrigerator and see what else you have. Maybe you've got some leftover, maybe you've got some cabbage. Maybe you've got some other types of vegetables that you would like to put in there. Then you do that, okay? All right, I just want you to see where I'm at. And you know what? If you decide I may decide at some point that I want to can this. I don't know if I've got 3 or 4 quarts out of it, or several pints. I may just go ahead with that and then have it for later. If not, then I'll just cook it and store it in some jars in the refrigerator, and save it for later, or give some away, for heaven's sakes. All right? Okay. I hope you give this a try. I love ya. And you just remember, if I can do it, anybody can do this. Seriously, you can. And isn't this simple? This is how you simplify your life. And if you don't have to go out and buy anything, because everything you have is available to you, you've already purchased it. So why not just go ahead and use what you have, okay? All right. I know you can do it. I got faith in you. I love ya. And you just remember that little is much when God is in it. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for watching Simple Food, Simple Life. Please like, subscribe, and share.